We are soon in October. Man, this year have really gone past fast. But this month seems to be bringing with it some good indie games, just like September. I've been sick for a few weeks, so I haven't been able to make that many videos, but hopefully this month will be a bit better. But let's get into the games for October that I think look good and interesting. First up in October we have Dread Dawn, an open world zombie survival game. This one is set in a quarantine city where you play as a student that have been left behind. You'll be staying in your school, trying to build it up as a defensive structure, scavenge the city for defenses, look for survivors, plant food, raise chickens and all that stuff, as you will try to defend until help can arrive. As you scavenge, you can collect materials, construct enhancements and build out your camp and your defenses. There seems to be some trading with other survivors in the city. The game really feels like a co-op game to me, but it's listed as single player on Steam, so that's a bit disappointing to me. But I think it looks impressive with the amount of zombies it has, and kind of how they act together. I mean, zombie games was all the rage a few years ago, but it's always nice to get a few of them from time to time. Developed by Co-op, release is planned for 1st of October. Then we have Kill Knight. This is a fast and responsive action shooter, kind of arcade inspired with an isometric angle to it. You have been condemned to eternal suffering deep within the void of an eldritch arena. Really like the setup for this game. It sounds and looks badass. I played the demo a while back and it really plays well. It kind of reminds me a bit of the latest Doom games where you need to be super reactive and take advantage of every opening you get, and also be super aggressive at all times. As you play, you will unlock more weapons and equipment, and as you descend the 5 fatal layers, you will face harder challenges and unlock new modes. There is also a global leaderboard if you really want to push yourself in this game. But yeah, can't wait to play this one, looks so good. Developed by Playside, release is planned for 2nd of October. Next up is Wizard of Legend 2. I love the first game, it's a lot of fun, and especially in co-op. This is a roguelite where you play an upcoming wizard. The first one had some really good pixel graphics, but the second game have moved into the 3D realm with some cel shading on top of that. It looks fast and fluid, and the game is all about experimenting with different spells and elements as you take on masters of each element, at least if the first game is anything to go by. It seems like you can have 5 spells equipped at the same time, and you obviously want to mix these between attacking and defending skills, and then you usually want to mix up the elements a bit so that you can be proficient in more than one element. The game will drop into early access and will stay there for about 6 months. On full release, the game will also include 4-player co-op. That will be very interesting. The first game was really tuned for 2 players, and if this one is tuned for 4 players, it will be really interesting to see how this goes. Developed by Dead Mage, release is planned for 3rd of October. Combat Complex is a twin-stick action RPG. It's been a while since I played a game like this. The game have procedurally generated levels and have your standard rare, epic and legendary gearing. You can have 11 gear pieces equipped and then 3 weapons as well, from what it looks like. I do think the game looks fun. I love ARPGs, and twin sticks one are rather unusual. What I don't see here is a story. It's always nice to have a reason for what you're doing in the game. The procedurally generated levels also scare me a bit. It usually gets repetitive fast if it's not done well. But yeah, there is a lot of potential here, and certainly if the guns are fun and if there are plentiful of enemies. And I mean, the enemies can't be too frustrating here, but hopefully the game can be challenging while throwing loads of enemies at you. And I can see myself spending a fair bit of time in this game if it's fun. This one is also dropping into early access and will stay there for about a year, so there is surely a lot of things that is going to be added into the game over a year. Co-op seems to be one of those things. Next up is Anima Flux. This is a co-op Metroidvania where you play 2 genetically enhanced super soldiers. The only human city on the space arc. I hope the game will explain more about this when it drops. But this city is overrun by a mutant invasion and you have been sent in to eliminate the threat. As I mentioned, this is a co-op game tailored around 2 people. I think you can play it alone as well if you want to. But these 2 different soldiers have unique skills and abilities and have a different development path for them. So that is certainly intriguing, and I hope they can play off each other really well. I do really like the retro sci-fi aesthetic they have gone for here, and I think the game looks like a ton of fun with a lot of enemies attacking you. That's always a plus for for me. I hope the story is interesting as well and not too generic, but we'll have to see. Developed by Flux, release is planned for October 7th. Then we have Drova Forsaken Kin. This is an action RPG with Celtic mythology as its base, and the story will evolve depending on your actions and dialogue. The game is played in a dynamic, handcrafted open world. I hope this is a big world with a lot of interesting things in it. Nothing more boring than an open world that has generic shit in it. I think the combat looks okay. It is combo based with a bunch of different weapons to play around with. You also learn a lot of abilities, which will help you shape a playstyle that you want to use. I do get some old school Souls vibe from this game. I mean, it looks really hard and gritty, and the world looks unforgiving. The game also have 2 factions that you can join. This will also impact the rest of the game and the story. And then there is of course your standard quests, gathering and crafting and all that stuff. But yeah, looks very interesting. If the combat is good, I think this could be a really good title. Developed by Just 2D, release is planned for 15th of October. Next up is Niva. Yeah, this is probably going to be one of the best indie games of this year, like top 10 for sure, I would say. It's from the developers that made Grease, and I mean, if nothing else, it's a beautiful game. The art style is amazing, just like candy for the eyes. You play a young woman with a wolf as her companion, and they seem to embark on an adventure through a dying world. Throughout the game and the journey, your bond with the wolf will evolve, and you will learn to work together. The wolf will grow as well, from a cub to a full adult, and that will certainly aid you and also complicate things for you. I'm guessing the game will play much like Grease, with puzzles and a fair bit of platforming. You also have combat here, and the wolf seems to be helping you out quite a lot. And they have really created a beautiful world with some hideous monstrosities in it. But yeah, I just can't get over how beautiful this game is. It looks amazing. Developed by Nomada Studio, release is planned for 15th of October. Then we have Nimrod's Guncraft Survivor. I always need to include a roguelite bullet heaven type game if I can. The game is all about crafting guns, obviously, but then cloning and using your previous run as a backup. So guns you have created in a past run can be used by a drone to assist you on your new run. I kinda like this. It reminds me a bit of Blaze Blue's entropy effects kind of gimmick, because there you can also use past runs and gain skills from that. But in this game, you collect parts, combine them and create insane guns, hopefully. And if you then can use these in your next run, I mean, you will have some insane runs. And from the trailer, it looks like there are some insane builds or insane weapons. So I think this could be a lot of fun. There isn't too much about the game right now. I do wonder about replayability, levels, difficulties. Is there any upgrades outside of building guns? But overall, if the gun building is fun and there are a lot of parts you can mess around with, I think this could be a lot of fun. Developed by 5amp, release is planned for 28th of October. Next up is Broken Veil. This one is a puzzle platformer, but also a horror game. I get some Little Nightmares vibe from this game, but it do still have its own style to it. In Broken Veil, you play as a young boy searching for the most important thing to him, his mother. The game takes you through a post-Soviet Russian town where a lot of monstrosities are trying to get you. Cats will, however, aid you on your journey and help you solve puzzles and progress. There isn't much shown here when it comes to gameplay. You do see some platforming and there is some creepy monsters and locations, but I know a lot of people are a fan of Little Nightmares, and I think this one comes close, so I think it's interesting to keep an eye on. Developed by Sinistrum Games, release is planned for October, no release date yet. Next up is Sulfur. This is an action-adventure game within a first-person archetype. I think the game looks really cute, but it's also very brutal. The game has a big emphasis on gear and flexibility, as you can modify your gun quite a lot, and then you have the flexibility in how you want to approach situations in the game. I don't really understand the story for the game, but I mean, that's okay. It looks fun to play, and I'm assuming the final product will be a lot more clear on the story, but we'll see. As I mentioned, the game lets you approach it how you like. If you want to plan out and outsmart the enemy, or go guns blazing, or anything in between. I just hope there is enough tools to accomplish cool and interesting approaches to situations, but there will be a lot of weapons, equipment, tools and enhancements, so I think that won't be a problem. There's also a lot of creatures you will encounter that you can charm, threaten, bribe or right out kill, and this will hopefully impact the game and rewards. This one will drop into early access in October, no specific date yet. The game will stay in early access for about a year and is developed by Perfect Random. Yeah, most games on this list was in early access, but I do think all of them has a lot of potential. Don't forget to leave a like if you liked the video. Have a great day. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.